Morning, everybody. Check out that hat. Pretty cool, huh? How's everybody doing today? I had such a overwhelming response to yesterday's Q&A from questions that were online questions back during the double live event on New Year's Eve day. I had so many people get a hold of me yesterday and say how awesome that was and let's do it again. And so here we are. It snowed overnight. It's cold. And my shoulder's still a little touchy to make the trip and go do any fishing this morning. I'm probably going to make a few casts off my dock because the river is still open right here where I live. But I've been rehabbing this thing pretty hard, and I'm hoping to. I will be back in action by the weekend, if not sooner. I'm just trying to take it easy. I mean, in this kind of transition time, you can't get on the open water. You can't really get on the ice. So I'm gonna try to be smart about this. There's a lot of fishing to do this year, a lot. So we're gonna take care of things right off the bat. So if anybody saw my post that let you know when we were going live, we're gonna do more questions today. We're gonna open the board to questions now. Figure let's do this for 15, 20 minutes, maybe a touch more. I think 30 minutes is going to be our max today. So questions. And I'll do my best to answer them. Doesn't have to be fishing related, but certainly can be. Can be open water, can be ice, can be whatever you want. Get my glasses all cleaned up here so I can see when people do write questions. Joe DiPetro, good morning. Merlin, good morning, buddy. Mark Webb, good morning. Joseph, I wanted to say thanks for answering my question on lunar tables. I had to leave. Morning, Donnie. But I watched after work last night. Yeah, I know. And it's weird, and maybe somebody out there. I know Mark Webb is really IT savvy. I haven't seen the. I'm positive that there's got to be a setting on the YouTube live streams that allows you to see the comments made during the live stream after the live stream. I haven't been able to find that yet, but I'm actively looking because we have a lot of great conversation here, and it'd be nice to be able to see it in the comments after the fact. This is the first time I've worn this new hat from Tony. Look at that. Look at the side of that sucker. I gotta get it fitted right. You got to do that Ranger roll for all you fellow Army guys out there. Okay, here's question number 1. Mark Webb. I'm thinking about docking my boat on the west side for next season. Any leads on where to look? Well, the very first place I would look would be Bruton Boatyard. Talk to Chris, the new owner over there. I don't know how they are for availability for 23. The beauty, there's a lot of great marinas on the west end. It used to be Tri-Bridge. Now it's 43 North. There's that complex right there that's out on the lake. And you have Bruton Boatyard, which is right there. It's protected and it's in the river with a launch right there on site. ship store, a mechanic, A&P. I went out to A&P this year multiple times um, with friends of mine that dock there. It's a beautiful facility. I mean, it really is a beautiful big facility. So that's the place I would check right there. Let's see, North Shore, Johnson's Bay. A couple of friends of mine dock in there. It can be a little tricky getting in and out of. It's a very narrow, shallow in and out, but it's good. And then you get a little farther down the North Shore. You have places like Spruce Grove or the Boathouse in Constantia. Bill Morey, he's still in class for a few minutes, so I'll turn the volume on at 9 when the bell rings. I love it. Everybody that's got Bill for a teacher should feel lucky. I can't remember having cool teachers like that when I was in school. Although a couple of my teachers now, I didn't know they were cool then. Oddly enough, a couple of my teachers now are fans and watch every day. Mr. Keener was my art teacher in high school, and he was awesome. I learned a lot from him. My old varsity football coach, Mr. Phillips, he watches. That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. I always appreciate that. So Mark, there's a couple ideas for you for where to check on docking. Let's see. I can read these without my glasses. Morning, Scott. Randy, how does Cornell estimate how many walleye were caught in a year? I heard an estimate of 150,000 this past year. So I've had multiple conversations out on the water this past season, and you can go to. Randy, I'll try my best. I don't know when it was, but there's a couple videos. And the last time I saw Jake from Cornell out on the lake, we were talking to him about how they estimated this number of 1 million adult walleyes in the lake and how they came about. What data did they use to when they were looking at increasing the limits from 3 to 5 for walleyes? Now we're talking. I have not heard that number of 150,000. Now, so that you're saying caught in here, do you mean kept? Taken out with this new limit? And the majority of all this stuff, what I will tell you is, it's all mathematics and probability. When they're estimating, and everything, in my opinion, and Jake did say it too, everything's an estimation. They do sampling sizes. So let's say they net, and they put their nets out in a certain area, and they get X number of fish. They then, there's a mathematical equation that they take the number of fish that they caught in that net and expand it by lake wide, and they do multiple nettings and see what the density of net recoupment is, and then they make those estimates about how many adult walleyes. Because let's be honest, there is no way possible that you could ever count how many fish are in the lake, how many fish have been caught, how many fish have been kept. We met Jake I met Jake early in the season out there randomly because he came up on the water to do an angler creel survey and asked me some questions, which I was like, yeah, sure. I'd be more than willing to help. They're continually, New York State, Cornell, they're continually gathering data, and they're putting that data into these equations, which they think best represents what everything looks like. So I don't I don't have a great answer as far as that goes, Randy. That 150,000 number. So let's say that. So let's do the math. So let's say that there is 1 million adult walleyes, and when Jake defined adult walleyes, he said of spawning age, ability to spawn, and which he then correlated to be somewhere in the neighborhood of a keeper size walleye in that 13 to 16 inch range. So our size limit is 15 inches. So theoretically, you should think that all of those keeper size walleyes are sexually mature to where they can spawn. Okay, so let's say there's 1 million of them, and you would be saying that 15% of that total population was caught and kept in one season. I would think that would be that number would be way lower than that. Increase of limit or not. I would think that would be that number sounds way too high to me. That's just opinion. That's my feeling. I don't have concrete information on that, but I did have a friend of mine suggest last night, and I've thought about it already, and I'm going to see if I can get a hold of Jake one day, and maybe him and I can sit down somewhere, or we can do a video chat like this that's live. Have him come in on the chat and sit down for an hour and talk about, now that the season's over and looking forward to this coming season, what their official position is and feelings are on how the first year of the increased limits went, how the health and welfare of the lake, what was their opinion scientifically on the shad run this year, because I know from those people that I talked to this fall, there was no lack of shad. I mean, no lack. And that's something that we have desperately lacked the last couple of years, with all the work that's been being done on the canals on both sides of the lake, both ends. That has really impeded the shad populations and the spawn. So, I'll get back to everybody on that, and I'll see if I can get a hold of Jake and see if he's got any free time. He was supposed to be at the double live event with us, and last minute backed out. He had a family commitment he couldn't get out of. So, which I guess is okay, because at that point, we filled 2 hours in a blink of an eye. It was the fastest 2 hours of my life, I can tell you that much. So I don't know if we would even have time to talk to him that day. I will do something over the coming weeks, and I'll get with Jake and we'll do that. Don Terry, good morning. Jim Hagler, good morning. With the ice season, Scott DeGato, with the ice season being shortened like it has been, what's your opinion on this year's soft water fishing future? It's funny. I'm not necessarily happy that I'm right, but I had originally said back in November, early December, when everybody started thinking about ice fishing, I had a lot of people ask me, "Hey, Matt, when do you think we're going to be on the ice?" And even though that from like the 15th to a couple days after Christmas in December, it was winter. It was winter. All of a sudden, that weather pattern changed, and that wind switched back out of the northwest, and it was winter quick, so quick that a lot of you guys have already been on the ice. I haven't, but a lot of you guys have already been on the ice on this lake, which, this lake is it's one thing if you were on a pond or a small body of water or an isolated bay somewhere, but there were guys on the main lake within a couple days of it skimming over. That's how cold and how fast it froze. I had originally said January 15th, because these weather patterns in the last even 10 years have been really wonky. And we came out of 2022, the year of the big blow, and all of a sudden winter set in quick in December, and like I say, guys fishing the ice by by Christmas, when I was growing up as a kid, it was an every year occurrence. It was more like Thanksgiving. You'd be on safe ice already, and it would last all the way through till April. That's not the case anymore. And I'm not I'm not a conspiracy theorist or nothing, but weather patterns have changed. And anybody that's spent any time in the outdoors, if you don't acknowledge the possibility of climate change, then I think you're kidding yourself, because it clearly is different. Clearly. And I can point to any number of activities that I've spent a lot of my life doing, duck hunting. Like this year alone. So I'm on this lake every day. And in the past years, you would see the migration happen. You would see the waterfowl migration happen within a span of a couple days, where all of a sudden they all came down. This year, even up until last week when I was still out in the boat, I did not see the overwhelming number of ducks and geese and swans on that lake that I have in past years. Why is that? The only reason those birds migrate from the far, far north down south is because everything up there freezes and is covered. All of their food sources are shut off. So they have no choice but to migrate south. And that migration is supposed to take them all the way south into the southern United States, if not even down farther than that. There's open water north of us. And I don't mean just north like the St. Lawrence River. I mean north into southern Canada. And if that's the case, they don't have to go any farther south, So, we talk about ice fishing seasons and whatnot. It's a much tighter, shorter window nowadays for us here in New York State. And we're not in southern New York State. We're in central New York, and we have access to the North Country in less than an hour. I'm sure there have been places that you can get on, and you've been able to get on this whole time. In the far north, and maybe up in some of the, getting up into the Adirondacks, I'm sure because of elevation and temperature that it stayed consistent enough up there to get on the ice safely and to be on there for the last month. Down here, it'll go quick, but today's Tuesday. It's 30 degrees today. We got some snow overnight. By Thursday and Friday, it's supposed to be in the upper 40s, mid to upper 40s, and rain. So I don't know. I don't know what the ice fishing forecast is going to be like, and I don't know how that directly affects the open water season that comes after that. I don't know. Tom Alexander, good morning. Bill Morey, class period over, volume on. Right on. Don Terry, the shad only lasted about a week at my place. Typically, when there's a big hatch, I've seen them for several weeks. Just my observation. Okay. Yeah. I during that early time frame, that November-ish time frame, I know one day I had the boat already out, and I trailered it down to Freemax and launched out of Freemax. And it came out of Freemax, and right there just to the east of Freemax in that bay right there, I'm on both sides of Freemax where you come out of that point, there were birds and birds and birds everywhere. And the people I was fishing with down there, and the people that go out of there all the time, were like, man, this is like the old days. And those birds were all in there eating shad, and those shad balls were just everywhere. Now, where I was fishing on the flat on the west end in 15 to 20 foot of water, you would see those schools on your sonar, nonstop. People that were keeping fish and pulling them out of their live wells, they were choking, they're spitting them up as they were in the live wells and stuff. And so, I don't know how to gauge this. That's why a question like that would be great for Jake, because I don't necessarily know how to answer that. I don't know how it rates or how it ranks among other years. Not sure. So, anybody else? Any other questions? That was my last comment and my last question as of right this second. So we got a few more minutes. If anybody's got any other questions, hit me up. Um, like I say, these last 2 days my fishing's been a little thin, but and this weekend I don't really know what I'm doing. I do have my ears out for ice up north. I would like to get up on the ice, um, knock the rust off, get the jigging rods set up. Um, well, let's see here. Walleye Fest is coming together. Um, that's something I've been actively working on day and night already. Um, everybody that's reached out to me about offering their help, thank you, and I will be utilizing a lot of your help at some point when we get to that stage. But so you guys are great. I just got two other follow-up questions to the ice issue. If there's no ice this winter, do you think the fish population will be greater in the spring or have no effect on it? Scientifically, I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. Same with Bill said, if we don't get a strong freeze, what impact do you expect when open water season starts? Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. I don't know that it'll affect it negatively. And again, I'm only surmising, and my theory would be, the ice cover, you run the risk of your oxygen levels dropping. But in a body of water the size of ours, I don't think that's an issue. So I'm not really sure. Scott says, how's your boat search going? What type do you like? I like any type that starts when you turn the key every time. It's funny. I'm actively looking, but I haven't focused all my energy on it yet because I don't know why, because I got other things going on and Walleye Fest is coming and whatnot. But in a perfect world, I'm looking for a multi-species fiberglass boat. I've had aluminum. I had a Lund 2025 Pro V years ago that I loved. Aluminum is lighter and it tends to ride a little rougher than fiberglass. Fiberglass has a little more weight to it. They typically make them with a little deeper V, and the ride is much nicer. No matter what boat I get, I'm going to have the air ride seat pedestals in them. My back, my lower back that is been surgically repaired once. It was a long season in my boat, and my boat's fiberglass, but it's not a smooth riding boat. So I'm not really sure. I am open to suggestions. If anybody out there and within the sound of my voice has connections at any of the dealers or manufacturers in the area or that are on the market, I'm open to suggestions and willing to talk to whoever to get the right fit for me and what I want to do. I really am looking for something in the 20 to 22 foot range, bunk trailer, big motor, kicker motor, bow mount, live scope, the whole 9 yards, so we can go do whatever we want, whenever we want. and not worry about anything. So that's what I'm looking for. So now I put it out to the universe, and we'll see what comes back. Um, let's see. Just Paul says, how's the bathroom job in Sylvan Beach going? I'm in the final days of that. I'm getting ready to tile the shower, paint it, lay the flooring down, all of which sound like a lot, but it's not a big bathroom and it won't take all that long. And then I'm out of there. I'm not sure what I'm going to be working on next, but that's where that job sits right now. All right, we're at 26 minutes. Any other quick questions that we can handle, and before we call it a morning? It's Tuesday. Bill Morey, Wellcraft, Wasco Marine. I'll have to look at that, Bill. I know you've mentioned that before. Wellcraft make great boats, but not necessarily what are you showing me, Ben? All right, so my wife just handed me her phone. And she looked up something online which says fish largely unaffected. The relatively warm winter should not prove problematic for most local fish, says David Lemon, Regional Fisheries Manager at the DEC's Cortland office. Doesn't go on to say anything more than that, but the only way I could see that a mild winter would have any long-term effects would be, is there more to it? Oh. Obviously, if stream temperatures were warmer, things like incubation of trout eggs would occur faster, he said, but is not likely to make a big difference. He said an extremely wet or dry spring would have a greater impact on local streams. Lemon went on to say ice fishing results in a significant harvest pressure. That seems grammatically incorrect. On perch, sunfish, bluegill, and northern pike on local ponds and lakes. Fewer ice fishermen getting out will most likely result in more of these fish surviving the winter. Lemon also said the lack of complete ice cover on Oneida Lake could affect the winter survival rate of gizzard shad, a major player in the lake's baitfish scene. The ice creates a situation where temperatures are more stratified in a relatively shallow lake during the winter, he said. Without the ice, constant wind and waves can actually make the water at the lake's bottom colder, affecting baitfish's survival rate. In the past, the gizzard shad population on Oneida has taken hits following mild winters, Lemon said. Okay. Well, that's something that's something that I didn't really think of in that way, but it makes sense. And listen, there's no way. I shouldn't say it like this, but there's no way we're going to go through a whole winter without ice fishing. Now, it might be a shortened season, but I don't see there's any way that we're going to make it through the year. And it's the middle of January now. So you've got 2 solid months of winter in upstate New York left. And I don't know, does anybody remember that February 5 or 6 years ago where it didn't get above 0 for the whole month? So there's a lot of things that could still happen. I don't see any way that we're going to make it out of the winter without having Oneida Lake frozen over. It may not be safe, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be frozen over. So I know everybody's chomping at the bit. So am I. I want to get out there, but it'll happen. All right, last one. Rob H., have you fished Sylvan lately? I have not. Even though I'm working down there, I've been fishing in the morning in other places and then going there to work. But I do check the canal every day when I get down there and drive across it. And I did see people down there fishing off the wall, and as soon as it opened back up here a week or two ago. I have not in my life. I have not fished a ton down there. A little off the wall and in a boat in the canal and out along the break wall out there. I have very little experience there. So doesn't mean I wouldn't go try it. I'm not 100% sure where I would even go down there on the wall. I'm sure I could watch and see people around me and horn in on their spot. So, all right, guys, we're at 31 minutes. Let's call it a day. I'll see all you guys tomorrow. Not sure where. Hopefully back on the water because I'm getting a little itchy. So, from me to you, have a great day. It's Tuesday. It's cold. It's wintertime. Oh, well. My wife's laughing at that. Have a great day. Love you guys. Keep your tip up.